shooting down in the woods. He wouldn't leave it even if he could. 'Cause life is good, yeah!
Hickok45 here, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from Middle Tennessee, wet, rainy Middle Tennessee this weekend, the home of Alvin York, Dolly Parton, and many other wonderful folks. You know, actually, Tennessee is, I guess, kind of a entertainment center of the country, isn't it? Aside from Hollywood, of course. And I would say you get more sensible entertainment from Tennessee than you do from Hollywood. just my impression. In general, lots of good stuff coming out of both places. And you may not even like country music, but there's a lot of stuff coming out of Middle Tennessee. A lot of good music, and a lot of recording goes on in Nashville, if you didn't know that, other than country music, actually, but probably mostly country music. And, of course, you have a lot of media coming out of Tennessee. YouTube is definitely well represented here. Most of you are aware of that if you've been around YouTube long. There are several YouTubers shooting YouTubers in Tennessee. And as I've said before, I guess Jeff Quinn kind of plowed the ground in a lot of ways in terms of at least the internet. I don't know when he got to putting things on YouTube was later, but I guess after some of the rest of us started doing that. But he was kind of the grandfather. He wouldn't appreciate me calling him that probably, but of internet gunnies here in Tennessee, because he was doing the online magazine for quite a while. I used to Gun Blast. I used to go to it before I ever did my first video, I guess, and just for information. Didn't know him at the time, had not met him at the time. But he's a good guy. I've met him a few times. I even caught him when he was not in a drunken stupor a couple of times. Just kidding. Sorry, Jeff, if you listen to that. Couldn't resist. I pick on everybody. Nobody's immune. So anyway, Jeff's a great guy, and actually he has always been sober when I've seen him. So anyway, Tennessee's a good place to be. Lots of good places to be. Texas sure is a good place to be. I was just reading on the internet this morning some news item about some laws passed down there, or proposed, some things that got through, I don't know, one house or the other, didn't study it, but some gun bills to push back some of the restrictions are already there, you know. So I'll tell you what, Texas is a really gun-friendly state, and I always keep it in the back of my mind if Tennessee decides to close in on us too much. There's always an escape route there to Texas, perhaps. But anyway, I don't think that's going to happen in Tennessee, but you never know. We have some politicians in Tennessee that sometimes make us wonder whether or not we are really a gun-friendly state. Speaking of country music and Tennessee, the entertainment industry here, we lost a giant this past week. You probably have heard about that. And again, you might not care. You might even hate country music. There are people who just hate it. And but a lot of people don't hate it, obviously. And George Jones died, we all know, this past week. What a giant he was. I mean, he was an icon. He was an unbelievable voice. If you've ever heard George Jones sing, you know what I mean, of course. I mean, he was just, he went beyond just a singer with a good voice, beyond just a singer with a great voice. And you know what I'm talking about. If you have any interest in music at all, there are those that are good, there are those that are really good, and those you love to hear sing. But then there's that other special group up there, that lofty group up above the clouds, like Johnny Cash or George Jones or maybe Elvis Presley. And you can just, I don't know, maybe Whitney Houston. You can name them in any genre and of music. They're hard to define. There's just something about them. When you hear the voice, you hear them sing a song, it it just goes right to your bones, to your soul. And excuse me, I'm not actually getting all choked up here. just choked up a knot over that. Although it was sad, very sad. I grew up hearing country music, and I like all kinds of music. Newsflash, you don't really know this about me, but I grew up in a family where my parents were musically inclined. My dad especially played several instruments and listened to country music, the Grand Ole Opera, and all that stuff. So since I was a little tyke, I have heard all those names. I have listened to those songs. I have seen them on TV. The specials throughout the years. And I guess it was the heyday back in the 70s and 80s maybe, when a lot of the luminaries, the bigger names in the field, Johnny Cash, Glenn Campbell, and those guys, Porter Wagner, Dolly Parton, all those folks, they had shows on television, on network television, I don't know, Friday nights or whatever it was. And, I sat and watched them with my parents. That was the day, back in the day, as I've spoken of before, maybe not to you all, but, the things have changed so much in the last 20, 30, 40 years, where when I was young, and many of y'all can relate to this, you had one TV, and even if you didn't, there weren't many channel offerings, right? I'm talking pre-cable. And whatever mom and dad wanted to watch, generally that's what you watched. There weren't all these shows that were catering to young people anyway on Friday night, Saturday night, I guess. So we all sat and watched if we watched TV, we watched Bonanza or Gunsmoke. We watched the variety shows with Glenn Campbell or Johnny Cash and all the people that he had on there, whether Merle Haggard was singing or Buck Owens. We watched Hee Haw. In my house we did because Dad was a banjo picker and a guitar picker, and he loved all those folks and watched them and knew about them, and my mother did too. So I grew up with all that as a huge part of my culture. And now, if you're a classical music person, sorry, I enjoy that too. And I love classic rock. I'm more of a classic rock person than anything. I love Led Zeppelin and Bob Dylan. I'm partial to a lot of the good old ballad singers, John Prine, Bob Dylan, that kind of thing. I love good lyrics. I can even put up with Bob Dylan's voice just because he was such a good writer. A little bit crazy, a little too many drugs there at some point in his life. But he was a great, he still is, I guess. He's alive. Talk about him like he's gone. But that is my I guess my favorite area. But I like, you should see my iPod. I do have an iPod. That might surprise you. I need to date it somehow. I probably could if I figured out. But I know it's 10, 15 years old. It's an old one. And it still works though, and I've got I don't load it up with thousands and thousands of songs, so capacity has not ever really been an issue as it would with a computer. With a computer, if you don't upgrade every couple 3 years, you got an antique and you run into problems. But with the iPod, they work. So as long as it holds all the songs I have, it's not a big deal. So I've just never seen a need to upgrade the thing. But it is antique, and I have playlists on there that. I'll put it in the car occasionally with me, and just different time. Most of the time, I'm so involved in this project, I don't have time to just listen to music. I'm listening to some gun podcast or some video on the way into work and back, and all that kind of thing. But I'll play music occasionally, and I have playlists that you talk about eclectic. They define that word, because it'll go from Glenn Campbell to Johnny Cash to Bob Dylan to maybe Guns N' Roses. I like their version of the Bob Dylan song. I can't think of the name of it now. It comes from a soundtrack of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. You know what I'm talking about. But some of you do. And oh man, who else? Maybe Judy Collins. It just bounces back and forth all over the place. Waylon Jennings and who knows? But anyway, I have a lot of varied interest in music, but I do like good country music. I'm not as crazy about old dance country music. Or a song like, I don't know, Elvira or something that's some real upbeat, cool song. That kind of stuff just never has appealed to me. I have to say I like the more serious country ballads. I really do. And, something like Alan Jackson sings some of his stuff, that song Drive, and stuff that takes you back to your childhood. And I've met Alan Jackson a few times. Can't talk about too much, but just the stuff that he writes, some of it. But then again, there's some stuff he writes that same kind of upbeat dance stuff. I don't know. If I'm going to listen to an upbeat song, a happy song, something really cool, makes me want to move almost. Give me Led Zeppelin. I'm sorry, give me somebody like that, and not country, but I really like the country music, the type that George Jones, for the most part, man, he had a voice that just went right to your bones, no doubt about it, and it was sad. And I don't guess he's a Tennessean. I forget where he's actually from. We have all these transplanted Tennesseans here in Nashville, because of the country music business. And they're, of course, from all over the place. He may be from Oklahoma or somewhere. I don't know, or Texas, but originally. But, they've lived here so long. They came to this town to record maybe when they were 17. And, so kind of like me, I came to Tennessee when I was about 17 or 18. And I feel I'm a Tennessean, even though I'm from Kentucky. So we kind of claim those people. And it was sad that he's gone. And as I was saying, I grew up hearing these people. There's something about whatever you hear growing up, y'all can relate to that, whatever music it is, that when you hear it, when you see it, it takes you back. There's that really strong nostalgia that you just can't deny, even if it's something you didn't like maybe, but it takes you back into your history. I recall going through the Ryman Auditorium, which, for those who don't know, downtown Nashville, that is the original Grand Ole Opry House. It was an old church originally, and it was the Grand Ole Opry House for decades and decades. That's where that was recorded. And because of my parents being interested in country music, we would take them to that when they would come to Nashville back in the 70s and 80s. Back then, you had to get tickets for that like months in advance if you wanted to go. And we did that a couple of times for my parents. I remember sitting up in the balcony of that place where it was hot and there was no room for my legs. I mean, it was cramped. But with my parents and seeing the Grand Ole Opry there, that was pretty cool because, it wasn't long. I guess it was in the 80s when they moved to the new location out at Opryland, and much, much nicer, of course, but the Grand Ole Opry's been out there for a long time now at Opryland. It's big, modern, and everything. It's the one you see when they do awards shows. It's done there, of course. Although occasionally there's something still filmed, I think, at the old Ryman Auditorium down there, and they still do shows down there, specialty shows. But those were good old days, and I enjoyed most of that music. And when I was going to say, I went on a tour with some students not too long ago, a couple of years ago, through the Ryman Auditorium, and boy, that took me back. And they were showing videos in there on various screens on the walls here and there of some of those old shows from the 70s. And I hadn't seen in years. You just don't see them on TV. Of the Johnny Cash show or the Glenn Campbell Hour or whatever they were, the Porter Wagner show and those kinds of things. And you can see that in the Country Music Hall of Fame, too, in Nashville. But boy, talk about a flashback. Some of that stuff I haven't seen in 30 years or more. It really takes you back. And some good stuff there, really, even if you don't like country music. It's like a lot of things you think you don't like or you hate it when you hear it. But if you hear some of the best of it, or you hear a good song, you might think you hate whoever it is, George Jones or Elvis Presley or anybody, but there's probably a song that you would actually love. But then again, you might not like music. I don't know. I think if you like music, if you enjoy music, you really, and you admit it, you can go into any genre of music. I know I can, and I'm not an accomplished musician or anything. All I can do is play a stereo, basically. So I didn't really pick up from my father that skill or talent, I guess, or at least I didn't develop it. But give me anything. Give me some Mozart. Give me rock music. Give me gospel, country, or anything. And there's lots parts of it that I really like, of any of it. So I don't know. But anyway, it was a sad week here in Nashville and all around the country, and then maybe the world for some people. I recall so many people. In fact, Bob Dylan. Speaking of Bob Dylan, if I'm remembering this correctly, I read where George Jones was someone in an interview with Dylan years ago. This was maybe 30 years ago, when someone asked him who his favorite artists were or who affected him the most, and he mentioned George Jones. So this overlap, of course, is there because a true artist, a true musician, recognizes that in other genres, and I have seen other people in other genres, say the same thing, and have that incredible respect for somebody like him. Good music is good music. Quality is quality wherever you find it. It's just that simple. But anyway, bye-bye, George. A lot of great music he left. And one thing about living in Nashville, too, and I've never been starstruck, but I find it just interesting that, some of these people around, because you run into them, obviously around town. I was into eating at a little restaurant years ago, and Dolly Parton and her entourage, it was just 2 or 3 people, came in for lunch. There was just a really small hole-in-the-wall place. There was hardly anybody else in there, and it was just kind of neat to see them walk by, right by my table, going to sit down a couple tables away, and just chatting it up, having their lunch, not too far off the Music Row. And then you just run into them there. Back when I was flying a lot, I'd run into them at the airport all the time. You'd see them, and just around. It's kind of like living in Hollywood. I was in a publishing business for a period of years, and some different things, and I was in California some, and it's same thing. You just see the people around. So if you never thought of this before or never realized it, if you are someone like that in the music business or in the entertainment business, you're a movie star or you're a music star, it's a little easier living in Nashville or living in LA or maybe New York. Cities like that, because people are accustomed to seeing you around, and you don't get swarmed. That was I've had a little association with some people like that I can't go into, but it just depends on where they are. There's so many people that are accustomed to seeing them that it's just not a big deal. But when they get out of the city or out into the country, in different places, it's just totally different. It's just really interesting. So they can have kind of a semi-normal life in a lot of ways when they're home in their environment. But enough on all that. Just wanted to rattle on a little bit. It is kind of neat living in Nashville. It's something I forget. And one thing John and I keep meaning to do, we have not done, is maybe show you a little bit of Nashville in a video in some way. Go downtown or something. I doubt that we'll do any shooting, but maybe we'll do a little informational video somewhere just for kicks, because Nashville is one of those cities that everybody knows around the world, and is actually more famous than I realize or remember sometimes. When I was traveling a lot back in the 80s and flying places, and whenever I mentioned I was from Nashville, I'm like, oh man, that got the conversation going, because everybody had been there and liked the city, or they wanted to go there, or they had misconceptions about Nashville, And of course I'd play with them a little bit, mess with them, and say, yeah, we don't wear shoes in Nashville, but it's a pretty good place to live. Some cabbie in New York, it's fun to mess with them a little bit, tell them about how Nashville's exactly like New York City, and just try to dispel some rumors and myths. But anyway, bye, George. We're sure going to miss you. Again, one of the weird things about living in Nashville is on a lot of days, I drive right by where George Jones and Tammy Wynette lived. I drive right by their house, 2 or 3 times a week where they lived on Franklin Road in Nashville. I drive by where Waylon Jennings lived quite often. I can take you to a lot of places where these people, they live, and you just drive by and that's where they were. It's just that's where they are or where they live. So it's kind of weird, I guess. It's just a different impression, and you might see them driving out of the driveway, that sort of thing. The gates opening up, and just I could name a long list of them that just over the years I have. You just learn from various places. I've never taken a tour, but I just know. I found out enough that I could drive my parents by some of those places back when they were visiting us, and. Also, let's see, Ray Price, who's that goofball? Can't think of his name. Does all the humorous songs, mostly in country music. Ahab the Arab and all that kind of stuff he used to do. Oh man, his name's right on the tip of my tongue, but just right there close to. I drive by his place all the time. They're just here, and they live in close proximity to, of course, Nashville, the recording studios. So it just makes it much more convenient, and it's interesting, and we tend to forget about it, being here in Nashville. Speaking of guns, guess what I have in my hand? Yeah, another 1911. And I just brought it out to clean it up. Nothing too exotic. I think I might have even had it out here before, but I have not cleaned it. I can't remember. There's so much going on, so busy, I lose track. But it's the Ruger Commander. I think I did have it out one day when I first got it, and maybe the last radio show. But I brought it out to lube it up, and it feels better now. I took it apart. Been so busy, I haven't even fired it yet, and I've had it for a week or two. But it wasn't totally clean. Whoever had it, maybe it was just from test firing, or a gun writer might have had it or something. I don't know. But it feels smoother now. I got her ballast all up. What I tend to do with a firearm, whether it's mine or a T&E gun, whatever, borrowed gun even, for consistency's sake, I take it apart, just field strip it, and make sure it's clean, and then I ballast all it really well, make sure it's lubed well, and then put it back together. And they all start out from the same point that way. Okay? Not that what I do is, Hickok, the ultimate gun tester. If it works for me, it's great. If it doesn't work, it's junk. That's not what I'm about, but I still like for all of them to start from the same point, and that way, if there's a bobble, if there's a hang up, then I can eliminate the dirty gun issue. I can eliminate the improperly lubed issue. Because quite often, I think that's something that people overlook. And then they'll post 49 negative posts about a gun on a forum somewhere, and they just don't know how to clean a gun, or they've never cleaned their gun, or they read that a Glock will operate for 10,000 rounds and get mad if it won't, or, I just don't operate that way. I clean my guns and keep them lubed. So they're all starting from the same point, at least. So then I can, if we have a malfunction with it, I can, is that ammo? What's going on with it? The magazine's weakening on me, or, what it is, or is the gun just prone to malfunction? So, anyway, I have it out here, and in case you'd like to hear the sweet sound of a 1911 this morning. Most of us like a 1911, even if we don't carry it, right? There's nothing wrong with liking a 1911. You 1911 haters, get over it. You don't have to carry one. I don't carry one, very rarely. I might, but, I still love them. I don't carry a Colt single action Army, but I love those guns. I like a CZ 72. I like a CZ a lot. If I don't carry it, I have one. I don't care. I like lots of guns. They're great shooters. And you could carry any of them almost. Everybody has their favorite carry gun. You got to separate carry gun versus other guns you like. I might have gone through that myself, for a while. Not to talk down to you, even though I have to talk down to everybody because I'm 6'8". I tell my students that. But, we all go through different stages, and, you get in a mode where if a gun isn't a worthy carry gun, get it out of here, that kind of thing. And perhaps it's as you accumulate more firearms, you realize that, wow, I have finally figured out my carry system and what I want to carry, what I really like. It's reliable, the right size and all that. Maybe I would like some other gun, that's fun to shoot, even though I'm not going to carry it, So you have to get over that, don't you? They're really a couple of different categories in some ways with some overlap. So don't eliminate an entire class of firearms from your collection or your experience just because it's nothing that you would carry, or maybe you don't feel that it's 100% reliable or something. Hey, so what? In a lot of ways, I enjoy the 1911 even more now that I'm not relying on it for competition or for carry. So what if it malfunctions with some certain round or some ammo occasionally? No big deal. It's almost like a .22. It's aggravating and annoying when you fire a .22 long rifle in a semi-automatic of some kind. Once they get very dirty, you'll have hang-ups, and it's just a matter of time. Some are better than others. Some guns are better than others, rifles, pistols, but as they get dirty, they're going to hang up. And then, of course, with .22, you're prone to have a misfire anyway, here and there. Just depends. Use quality ammo. You won't have too many. But, does it matter? As long as it's not to the point where it's annoying, are you going to carry that for self-defense? Are you even going to have that for self-defense anywhere in the house? Probably not. So it's just a matter of the annoyance of it. So anyway, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? I wish I did. Got my Dillon catalog yesterday, and many of you know what I'm talking about there. Many of you have the same experience I have. Once a month? Whenever the Dillon catalog comes around, it's in the mailbox or in your P.O. box, and you pull it out, and it's just a pleasant little surprise, isn't it? Because there's always a very attractive photograph on the cover, not to mention all those wonderful products that Dillon markets, sells. But I was reminded when I picked it up yesterday I'm not sure what I was reminded of, to tell you the truth. I thought, well, maybe something I could talk about on the radio show. We men, we're just incorrigible, aren't we? There's no changing us. And the reason it came to mind was there's so many women getting into the shooting sports and getting carry permits and getting more interested in firearms than ever before. You see them in gun shops. You see, they're usually with a guy, husband or boyfriend or somebody, not always, but they're looking, for a carry gun. And again, if you get a carry gun, you want to get a carry permit. It tends to lead you into the hobby, doesn't it? Into the sports shooting. You're going to be shooting more because you want to become proficient with that firearm, and you get more interested in firearms just naturally, and you become, one of us to some extent at one level or another. So you're around, and I just wonder if females are going to be getting turned off by that kind of thing, maybe in greater numbers. I don't know. Most women are good sports about that sort of thing. They know how we men are. We're not going to change much. But one reason I guess we like Dillon is they're a little bit politically incorrect, and we like that. If you're a shooter, you're into firearms, you're already someone who is not too worried about what people think. And because there's still a little bit of that stigma, not so much as I've talked about. That stigma is is moving away fast as so many people get interested in firearms, but you still, it's a little bit of a leap. If you have friends who are afraid of firearms, but yet you are going to buy one and you are working on getting your carry permit, then you have taken the plunge. You pretty much are not worried about what other people say or what other people think, So anyway, we shooters tend to be a little bit more politically incorrect, probably. So we kind of like that Dillon. We love the Dillon calendars. I need to update mine. I need one. The one hanging in my reloading room is about 3 years old, I think. I keep forgetting to order another one. But, yeah, there's a lot of that on the internet too, guns and girls and everything. Women know where to put that, though. They understand. It's, I guess. But I was wondering when I pulled that out of my P.O. box, the blue press, what... there have to be some females that love Dillon too, because they offer really quality products, generally speaking, and they're a quality company. If you're not familiar with Dillon Precision, they make some of the best reloading presses on the planet and have great service and all that. And they offer a catalog that is not very big, but it comes out, I guess, monthly, and it has just kind of specialized things in it, but not necessarily. They get bullets, and you can even order ammo from them, books and magazines, Glock magazines, speed loaders for revolvers. They seem to try to stock and offer just the things that most people who are pretty much into shooting use and need. They don't try to handle every single product out there. They're not a Brownells, they're not a Midway USA. They are Dillon, and they just pick out the kind of the cream of the crop stuff that a lot of people like and need, and a lot of hardcore shooters use. Actually, they seem to be more competition minded, than maybe some other outfits. But anyway, they do, and always have almost far back as I can remember, with their catalogs, feature a hot young babe on the front cover, and sexy outfit holding a sexy gun. That's just kind of what they do. And I guess my message is to you females, if there's any of you listening, maybe one, don't take it too hard. It's just us guys being guys. Sorry about that, but it may get to the point where Dillon decides just to not do that at some point. I guess if we don't want to alienate female shooters, that's for sure. We need more female shooters shooting, buying guns, getting carry permits, and that the more the better. Not just because we want to see them at the range, although that might not be bad either, but typically if you run the numbers, here I go making a generalization, but I think it's going to be generally true. If you polled every male in the country, ask him what he thought about the Second Amendment and firearms, and do we need firearms? Do we need handguns? Do we need AR-15s? You get one answer from a certain percentage of those people. And if you polled all the females in the country, asked them the same question, you'd get a lower percentage of positive responses. Let me put it that way. I'm pretty sure about that. And if you disagree, fine. I think I'm correct on that one. So we need females, women, young ladies to get into the shooting sports and spread the message among their kind, females, when they're out having lunch or in the workplace or wherever, that guns are not evil, okay? So anyway, we don't want to alienate you gals, but you know how it is with us guys. We're just incorrigible. We're not going to change. It's not meant to be offensive to females. That's for sure. But that's just the way we are. Well, I mean, guns, women, dogs, trucks, cars. We're just guys. Sorry. Started to say we apologize, but I guess we probably don't, do we? Am I yakking and not even talking about guns? Maybe too much non-gun talk. I don't know. I tend to just talk about stuff that comes to mind, and that's one advantage of doing these more irregularly, like once a month, maybe. But speaking of guns and getting into the shooting sports, it's interesting how people get into it. I was thinking the other day about the ways that people get into shooting, and one way is through deciding that you want a carry permit and you want to get a defensive handgun. And I guess the other way is just growing up with people shooting around you and you shooting and people handing you a gun and you're at the target range, or you're shooting on the lower 40 with your folks, when you're 7 years old, and you just get into it naturally that way. Either way is great. I think a lot of people come at it from both directions. There are folks, probably more so in the last, several years, since 9/11 maybe even, people who decide, this world is not exactly a 100% safe place. Even though the violent crime has dropped to some extent, if it hits you, it hasn't dropped, right? It's like unemployment. It doesn't matter if unemployment is 1%. If you get fired tomorrow, unemployment's 100%, right, for you. Doesn't matter if only 1 out of 1 million houses burn down. If yours burns down, it's catastrophic. It's just like if you were to, if someone assaults you this week and beats you within an inch of your life, you get terrorized by somebody, then terrorism is in your neighborhood. It has hit you, hasn't it? It hasn't hit some other country. So it is just all depends whether it visits you, visits me. But anyway, a lot of people have realized that they are responsible for taking care of themselves and have investigated, researched, and decided to buy a handgun and get a carry permit. Maybe did not grow up with firearms. Maybe don't even have a strong interest in them. But just like I don't have a strong interest in fire extinguishers. They're not that sexy to me. They're okay, they're functional, but I want one around. I'm looking at one right here in the reloading room. There's one in the house or two in the house. I'm not fascinated by them. They're just tools. I decided at some point I need to have those. I need to have one. And I think a lot of people have decided that about a handgun or a shotgun or whatever, but in terms of a carry permit, it'd be a handgun, right? So that's how they get into the firearm. That's their doorway into the firearms world. And it really does, I think, open them up into the firearms world. As you and I know, if you're a hardcore shooter, an avid shooter, once you get one, you're hooked. And if you're going to get a carry permit, obviously you're going to get some ammo and practice and take your course and hopefully practice some more. And what happens with people who go to a range with a handgun and shoot it? Right. They get hooked. They learn to love it because, as I always say, almost the only people who don't like shooting are those who have not tried it because it is addictive, it is fun, it's enjoyable. So those folks who get a handgun for defense to protect themselves, they find out, don't they? They don't realize that they may think it's just like going to buy a fire extinguisher to have in the house. But because of the nature of it, you need to practice with it and actually use this, and then you've got to have it with you and carry it to get a carry permit. And so it becomes a tool that you use that you can't help but really, I think, learn to like it. I think it would be extremely rare that you would learn to hate it because you had to use it. Practice with it and carry it. It just becomes something you enjoy. It's fun. It's like shooting a basketball, isn't it? So, even if you don't play basketball and you get out with the kids or something out on the ground, and you throwing a ball up there and you hit one, and every now and then you hit a couple more. It's just fun. It just makes it addictive, and you want to do it more. So a lot of people, I think, enter it that way, and then before they know it, they're shopping around. Well, this is cool. I got my carry gun. I like this. I wonder. There was a friend of mine at the range shooting a 22, or that person shooting that other gun looked like fun, or he let me shoot it, and that was a neat gun. I enjoyed that. They just get into it, and you can't help it. So they end up with another gun or two eventually, and going to the range shooting those guns, and hopefully still shooting their carry gun, but shooting other guns maybe, and their carry gun, just for sheer enjoyment. Then before you know it, you know what, a shotgun or a rifle would be fun too. And so they're in the shooting sports there, and that's the doorway, brings them in, and it's almost unavoidable. It's going to bring you in because shooting is fun, and there's so many cool guns there. And once you take that big step of not being afraid of guns, if that's the case, or actually getting the gun, learning the safety, the procedures for it, where to buy ammo, and you're prowling around a gun shop or a gun show looking for ammo, or maybe an accessory, you just naturally learn more about what's out there, don't you? And you enter into more conversations with friends about the firearm. They have firearms. You end up going to shoot with them. They have a different firearm that you find very interesting, or you don't, or whatever. So you can't help but become a part of the world then. And so that's how a lot of people get into it. The other way, I guess, is the way I did, just growing up with firearms around the place, and family shooting, and brothers shooting, and uncles, and just a part of growing up. And then at some point you make the determination as to whether or not you might want to actually carry one. And a little bit easier because you don't have a natural fear of firearms at all, and so it's just a matter. It's an easy step, to the carry permit, for someone like myself, or a lot of you, if you grew up with firearms. So you just decide those same handguns you've been shooting and collecting and enjoying, that you're going to maybe get a better holster for carry and get your permit and that kind of thing. Still a big step, but anyway, it just came to me that's more or less the ways that most of us come into firearms, and both doorways tend to put us in the same world, really, don't they? Because if you grew up with firearms and enjoy firearms and handguns, it's just a natural. You're going to get a carry permit, probably. Most people, I would think, do. It's kind of a why not. And so then you become a little bit more defensive minded, and you have to make those decisions about when to carry, what to carry, and how to carry, and all the safety issues and all those concerns, caliber issues and everything. So you end up in the same world, all the same issues, just as if you start out, with the carry permit, and then you gradually end up collecting guns and deciding on all the other things about the sport. Where are you going to shoot? And do you want a shotgun? What gauge shotgun? Do you want a rifle? And do you want a 22? What kind of 22? And you start exploring the wonderful world of collecting and shooting firearms, don't you? So most of us have come to it from one of those directions, I guess, and here we all are. I saw on the news this week, I don't know, it was on internet or when I was logging into email or somewhere, you know how they have headlines in your email homepage or that sort of thing. It was, but anyway, it was an article about it was a school somewhere. I'm thinking Texas, I don't know. It was a school somewhere where they were having a teachers meeting, maybe some kind of in-service meeting, and somebody put together a kind of an experiment, a fake assault on them. And I'm not sure I read the whole thing, but it was a deal where they were trying to, I think, show the teachers what it would be like to, if all of a sudden a shooter came into the building, and by surprise, obviously, And so 2 or 3 guys came like running in there and firing guns and blanks like at them or around there, just kind of an assault on them while they were in that meeting. And I'm not sure what all their purpose was. Obviously, that would be pretty effective. It would, wow, this is what it would be like. All of a sudden, there they are, and there are the guns going off. You know, I mean, there might be some value in that. It would be a reality check, wouldn't it? Because people probably generally have that false assumption they can react and have time to react to anything that would occur or that's not going to happen. And, you know, I'm not going to get surprised by anything like that. Well, yeah, from that standpoint, maybe that's good. You can see some value in that. And you hear of stories of people doing that back through the years, maybe a professor in college even, having someone run into the room with a gun and fire a blank and scare the class because he's demonstrating, you know, something, you know, whatever it might be, some point he wants to make and do it dramatically. But you know where I'm going with this, don't you? That is not a smart thing to do these days. Not with so many people having firearms, real firearms, and carry permits. I don't care whether it's a group of teachers in a gun-free zone, it's in a college campus, it's at a board meeting at the city, wherever it is. If you want to scare people or show them what something would be like, do it some other way. Do it some other way. That is not wise. You know, I've thought about that partly, again, living in Nashville. You'll be driving around somewhere and you'll see a studio trucks and lighting, and they're doing a music video. You know, I used to live in the country in a different part of Nashville years ago, and they were doing a music video on the road across from me out in the country. They worked all day, at least a long, full day, doing some part of a music video, I guess it was. And you don't know where there are going to be people like that doing something. And, you know, think about how many people are armed in this country now with carry permits or no permit in places where they're allowed to carry, and maybe in places where they're not supposed to be carrying. And that's irrelevant to this conversation. There could be somebody with a firearm who knows how to use it. And have we not had enough situations like this Aurora movie theater or Sandy Hook or any place you want to name where someone has come in with a firearm and killed numerous people? If you're carrying a firearm, that's one reason you're carrying it. That is one reason. You know, I mean, the odds are remote, of course, of your being somewhere when that happening, just as the odds are remote that the plane that falls out of the sky next month is going to be the one you're on, but it could happen. So it's on your mind to some extent if you're packing. So you're in a meeting, and here come guys in with a gun and firing. Well, you know, I'm not going to be armed in a school situation, but there might be other people who would not worry about that as much as I do. And what if I didn't? What if I, for example, now I don't carry at school. I'm too young to go to jail, all right? I'm about finished with this gun-free zone business anyway. I've just got a couple more weeks that I will be working in a gun-free zone. Even though I will miss teaching, I won't miss being in a gun-free zone, because, you know, we all know how safe they are, right? Well, what if I were someone who had the attitude, well, hey, I know how to handle a firearm. I'm going to carry one anyway. You know, gun-free zone or not, school or not. What if that were my attitude? And it's not, but what if it were? And here I sit in a meeting, and I've got a Glock 23 or a Glock 27 or a Glock 19, whatever, available, and 3 guys break in the room and start shooting. Well, I'm going to start shooting back, probably. You know? So, you know, this is not a good situation. There could have been somebody in that room, you know, that was breaking the law and carrying a firearm, and pulled it out and shot one of those guys. So, and I'm not putting out anything all that profound. Everybody that read that article, and I think that down in that article, someone even mentioned that the danger of that, somebody reacting, maybe not with a firearm, but you pick up a baseball bat nearby and you club somebody. You got to be careful these days, don't you, with that kind of thing. And it's something for you and you and I to keep in mind. It's one reason I brought it up. I try to remember that. You got to remember, you got to be careful about getting involved in a situation where you don't know what's going on. Granted, hesitating, could be could be lethal for you if you hesitate. But then again, you just got to be alert and aware of the possibilities and what might be going on. You could be walking down the street somewhere and they are filming some music video, and you see somebody running, chasing some woman. Maybe that's part of it. Got some guy dressed up like a thug and he's chasing some woman around the corner and attacks her, and there you are, ready to be a hero. You pull your gun. It turns out it was a scene from a music video or something. You didn't see the cameras, and you just got to be aware of all that kind of thing, don't you? I've heard people talk about that before, experts, the shooting trainers. And you go into a Minute Mart, and there's some guy in there grabbing the clerk, the female clerk. Some big guy grabbing this female clerk and roughing her up. Well, you got to be careful getting involved. You don't know what that is. Is that a robbery? Is it an ex-husband, an estranged husband? Is it her current husband? Is it her boyfriend? And they do that all the time, just messing with her. You got to be careful. You cannot overreact. You just want to be a good witness most of the time. Hopefully not a dead witness, but you don't know what's going on, so you got to be careful about reacting. So I guess a couple of things there. I'm kind of rambling. For one thing, in that school meeting situation, that was dumb to even do that. But it points out how I think you do need to be careful. We need to be careful to not assume that we know what's going on somewhere. We can't be quick on the draw, so to speak. We just need to observe and be a good witness. And while I think most of us who carry a gun would want to, if we could, to prevent somebody else from being harmed, raped, killed, beaten with that firearm, we've got to be really savvy and think before we get involved, because we don't know what's going on. We don't know. We're not the SWAT team. It's not our responsibility. It is in some ways as a human being to help our fellow man. But the problem is we don't know what's going on. Unless we're 100% sure. You walk into a market and there's a guy with a gun stuck on the clerk's head, pointing at him, saying, "Give me the money." That's a little different. Then you got decisions to make. But generally speaking, it's hard to know exactly what the situation is right away. Just a little food for thought. I don't have any profound answers other than, be alert and don't be too hasty, and be aware of what possibilities could be. Are you guys going through the season change in your carry outfit right now and all those questions? It's that time of the year and the weather's changing, and we move from, maybe a holster gun to a pocket gun, or the decision has to be made where it's a high of 60 degrees maybe one day here, and not a problem. You can wear your jacket, and it's just so simple, isn't it, to pack when you have an outer garment of any kind. It is so simple these days. No excuse for it being a problem. And one of my favorites is just a shirt. Just a long-tailed shirt hanging out. It just works beautifully. Even if it's a bit chilly, I'll tend to wear that pretty often. Maybe just a heavier shirt with lining, a little bit of lining. You can get those that are kind of plaid on the inside. They've got a little thicker. Or I'll wear even long johns. I'll wear a couple of long sleeve shirts under it, perhaps even. I do that through the winter quite often. And don't have a heavy coat. I've never liked heavy outerwear. I don't know, it's just cumbersome, bothersome. I would rather wear a long sleeve shirt, t-shirt type thing, or two of them, maybe like long johns, something they call long johns. You can get some cool stuff now, whether it's Under Armour or whatever, and then a long sleeve t-shirt over that, and then you put on a regular long sleeve shirt, unbuttoned, loosely hanging. You actually have a lot of clothing on, a lot of layers. So you notice in the videos, that's pretty much what I wear. I rarely have a coat on, if ever, in a video, even in the dead of winter, because that's more or less the way I dress. I try to get by with just a heavy shirt, and you really do, almost throughout the winter, any day. But so anyway, here we are. We've had some weather, 80 degrees, and it's that transitional time, which I, in some ways, hate to see arrive. I like nice weather. Same with the jeans. I like cargo shorts when it's really hot, and a t-shirt, just like most of us. But a little more problematic with a bigger gun, Glock 23 or something, and even a Glock 27 or 26. But so I'm at that point right now where I'm reevaluating. Some years I think, you know what, this summer I'm just going to wear jeans. But then I get messing around the farm here and the ticks and things, and I don't want those things crawling up my leg and not seeing them or knowing they're there all day long. That's one advantage of shorts. Now, some people go the opposite route. If they're out in the country, out in the weeds, they want to wear long pants. Not me. I am just the opposite. I want shorts on, and I spray my legs, so they're not just creeping up my legs like crazy. And if one tick does, I can see it. I can feel it, and I can see it. Under your jeans, wow, those suckers could come up your leg and you not even know it. I just never have liked that. So that's the way I operate. I mean, you could tuck your jeans cuff inside your socks and do some stuff like that, but I just wear shorts and spray my ankles, and generally don't have ticks coming up my legs. Really don't. And if I do, I see it. So that's the way I dress, and then with a t-shirt usually in the summer. So there I go. Got to go back to pocket carry or let my t-shirt hang out. There are options there, right? And every time I say that's what I'm going to do, and I do that sometimes, it just doesn't feel as comfortable to me. I am just old school and have tucked in shirts and t-shirts all my life. Now I'm okay with like I say, a button-up shirt hanging open if I have a t-shirt on. That doesn't feel uncomfortable to me. It just feels like a jacket, a lightweight jacket. Feels good. But I've never been good at just letting my t-shirt hang out. And I know that's the style. Heck, that's been the style for 20 years. But it doesn't feel as good to me. I've always tucked them in, and I don't know. It's hanging down there in the way to get in your pocket, and just, I don't know. I may have to make that switch, because that is a pretty nice option, I have to say. Either pocket carry or letting your t-shirt hang out, and particularly if it's got a long tail on it, it's plenty big. That pretty much maintains whatever carry options you carried in the winter, actually. But it just still doesn't feel good to me. I just can't get used to it. But anyway, we're all going through that right now, I guess, in most parts of the country, that transitional period. And could involve a different firearm, right? A different mode of carry, and or a different firearm. So it's that time to work all that out and make sure we're proficient with that other firearm. Maybe we have not carried as much through the winter. With me, it would be the PM9. I have not fired that thing all winter, I guess. And I did carry the XDS a lot last summer, pocket carry. So I need to fire it some more. But so pocket carry will be an option, no doubt about it, even if I do occasionally make that switch and let my shirt tail hang out. So, and I don't know. It's a tough choice, huh? Life is tough. As I look around the reloading room table here, I see a 30-30 cartridge, and you'll learn more about why I would have a 30-30 cartridge out. But I have not fired any of those lately. But it's just as a reminder that one reason I think so many of us are attracted to the shooting sports and firearms, lots of reasons, of course, but to most of us, especially guys, guns are just neat, aren't they? You know, to take them apart and clean them, and maybe even do some minor gunsmithing, grinding, total disassembly and reassembly of a firearm is an interesting thing to do. See how it operates, the mechanics of it, the reliability of those mechanics, the design. It's just something that fascinates a lot of us, and interesting to learn the history of the firearm and how many years the firearm has done what it was designed to do, possibly to protect the country, protect individuals. It's just so many reasons we enjoy firearms. They're the simplicity of them in a way. There's no computer chips, well, at least yet, for the most part. All metal, wood, yeah, even polymer, but you just can see how the thing works. Can you look into your computer and see how it works, the information flow? So many things in today's society, today's world, the modern world, they're beyond us, aren't they? They're beyond most of us. We have to get somebody to fix them, to work on them, to even know how they work. It's just we are so complex in today's world. And a firearm, in a way, takes us back to a simpler time. Think about it. In 1911, designed almost the 1800s, and basically early designs, I guess, were. And the thing has not changed and still works and does what it's always done. The lever gun, Colt single action, all these firearms that have been around for over 100 years and still do what they've always done. A double action revolver, for example. Anybody carrying a double action revolver today is just as well armed almost as anybody else, right? Well, think about that design. It goes back into the 1800s, and hasn't really changed that much. It still works, and even some of the same cartridges are right here on my reloading table, on my shooting table, and for those rifles. And this 30-30 cartridge, for example, 1895, and I think that's one of the reasons that we're just fascinated. I know it is for me. I see this cartridge, 1895. Wow, and that's not even counting some of these others right in front of my face. The 45 Colt, 1873. The same case, essentially, same bullet configuration. Been used all these decades, many, many, many years, and it's like an old coin when you look at these cases. You think about it, it's like having a quarter or $50, a silver dollar with a date on it of 1873 or 1890 or 1880, 1895. It's just something that's been around forever, and it's still in use. It's still made to the same specs. Basically, the 45 Colt changed a little bit on the head of it. Was a little too small for lever guns, so the later versions of it are a little bit larger, but on the head. But by and large, these are all the same. 4570, 1873. I'm looking at a bunch of those here with the same bullet that was loaded back then, the 405 grain bullet. It's one of the aspects of firearms that many of you have learned to appreciate. And if you have not, and you wonder why people still buy these old 4570s or 45 Colts or 3030s or any number of cartridges, when you just don't understand it. Man, why do you need anything but a new SIG or a Glock and cool AR-15. This is old stuff, man. That stuff's ancient. Technology has changed. Come on, move with it. What's going on here? Well, my guess is if that's the way you think, you're probably pretty young, or you might just not, I don't know, enjoy the history of it. I've met people like that. They just don't really have interest in history or the history of these old guns and old cartridges. But most people do, at least have a passing interest in it. And I think it's like a lot of things. Once you, shoot one, or if you have access to one, or maybe you get a big deal on a 30-30 or a 45 Colt, you weren't sure you wanted it, but you got it, then you fall in love with it, and you learn more about it, and you hold that cartridge in your hand, and it just transports you back 100, 150 years. You cannot help but appreciate the history of that. So I think that tends to grow on people, and it definitely has me. I like the modern guns, but I like these old guns and the history of these cartridges. It's just fascinating to me, and it adds to the enjoyment of firing one. It really does. Yeah, a lever gun is slower to shoot than an AR-15 or a SCAR-17 or a Sub 2000. And maybe I can't shoot it as fast. Maybe it would not be as effective if I had to go to battle tomorrow. But so what? They're really cool, fun to shoot, and they get the job done, actually. Anyway, hopefully you appreciate the history. If not, get into it. You will. If you're watching these videos, you're listening to me ramble, you must have some serious interest in firearms. And so my guess is most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I hope you do, and I hope you will if you don't, because it's an area of the sport that is it's enriching. It really is. You learn to appreciate history, the history of the firearms, and things that were going on back during that time period, I think, to some extent. So anyway, enough about that. I'll just be slobbering on my 30-30 and 45 Colt rounds here. By the way, I really haven't talked much about it lately, but I am going to be in Philadelphia. John and I will be in Philadelphia on, it may just be me, not sure. But we'll be there on the 25th of May at the Gun Rights Across America. I'm not sure they're calling it a rally, but it is at downtown Philadelphia there, I think, Independence, in front of Independence Hall, somewhere down there, park. I need to look all that up, and I'll keep you all posted on that. But this is supposed to be a pretty good-sized rally. There's a lot of organization to it, lots of speakers. I'm one of them, believe it or not. And we're going to make that trip. I'm going to be up there, and I hope you will come out, because I don't know how many opportunities that I'll have in that part of the country to meet some of you face to face. I see a lot of you at NRA conventions and different places, but I will be in Philadelphia, not just the Philadelphia area. That's at noon on Saturday. It starts, and I'll get there early. And anybody that's there, if you're a viewer and you enjoy the videos and you're listening to this, by gosh, you'd better be there. You got it? You better be there, because I don't want to go up there and not know anybody. All right? It's nice to hang out with lots of people that they're gun nuts and supporters of the Second Amendment. So those are always fun. But I know there's some people up there in that area, because there's a lot of people in the Northeast, and I hear from a lot of people from up there. So you had better show up and say hi. Okay? If I'm going to go 12 hours to get there, you better come 1 hour or 4 hours or 2 hours and say hi, okay? But just want to remind you of that on the 25th. It was Memorial Day weekend, right? The 25th of May. That's coming right up. Wow, time is flying. And I'm trying to wrap up my school year, wrap up my teaching career. So a lot of things are happening all at once here. But we'll continue popping up a video here and there, and we'll see you on the tube, right? We'll see you on your computer screen or on your smart TV, or on your phone, wherever you're watching these videos. We will see you, okay? So it's been fun talking with you. It's always fun hanging out in the reloading room. It's just that only part of the time are you all here, right? I have to turn the recorder on for you all to show up. So when you all are here, it really creates a different atmosphere, I have to say, because there's a lot of you, and it's kind of hard to cram you into my reloading room, but it's kind of neat talking to you here. So anyway, has been good. You guys take care and have a great week. Hope you get a chance to shoot. Life is good. You've been listening to the Hickok 45 radio show. See you on the range.